All right, we're live.
Yay!
Oh, yes.
It's going to be a good one tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
I am pumped. I have been waiting for this for the whole week, ever since we've gotten the word to go. And, Brian's helped us out facilitating this. I am super, super pumped for this tonight.
Yeah, I am as well. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good one tonight. I really hope everybody gets to come in for this one tonight. It's going to be an amazing show. Notifications not available. Reload page. Oh, this is starting off well. Come on, Throne. Don't play with me
Super
like this.
Mike, Manny, James, Miss Greta, how are you? We got a great show tonight. Let's, while Brent's sitting there getting things ready to go, Nick, we'll talk a few club things, get that out of the way, but this is a night to have a talk with Bruce, and we are going to have some amazing things. He showed us a couple things already. Woo! I am pumped.
Oh, my God. All right, I'm going to restart my phone because it doesn't want to play right now. Oh, Lord.
Okay, so basically the only things I've got for tonight is, March 6th, we do have the show in Norfolk at the bank. You guys are all more than welcome to come. We do have plenty of table reservations left. Super Mike, how are y'all doing? The van sale, we'll talk about that next week because that was pretty out of this world.
Restarting cell phone.
Yep. You got anything?
Well, we can talk about the superset some other time. That weird van sale that I apparently bought socks today.
Yep.
It wasn't intentional at the very beginning. I just wanted the van, and then it's like, hey, you qualify for a free pair of socks. I'm like, what?
I got 2 free pair of socks.
Well, that's what happened. Yep, I only got the one.
Okay.
I only got 1 free pair.
So, without much further ado, unless you've got something else.
Just trying to get the phone to start.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the one, the only, Mr. Bruce Pascal, famous from Pawn Stars, famous for his little Volkswagen van. We're going to bring him on, and we got some questions for him. It's a bus.
It's a bus.
I think it's a van.
I think it's a bus.
All right. And here he is, folks, Mr. Bruce.
Hey,
good
everybody.
Evening.
How's it going?
Good,
Hello.
Good. How are you? Thank you for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me. Almost keeping me past my bedtime because I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, but this is exciting. I got some time with you guys, and I'm looking forward.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what your passion is?
Okay, I collect Barbie dolls. No, just kidding. You got the wrong show
channel.
Tonight. Wrong show tonight. So my name is Bruce Pascal. I'm from Washington, D.C. I'm 60 years old. That means I was 7 years old when Hot Wheels came out in 1968. And I've been a collector when I was a kid, put them away in a cigar box when I was about 10 or 11 years old. And then in 1999, my mom gave me my cigar box back. And I've been a full-time collector within months after that moment. So I'm celebrating my 23rd year of straight, full speed ahead Hot Wheel community, Hot Wheel collecting, Hot Wheel passion.
Awesome. So we're going to get into these questions here. We've got them coming from all over the place tonight, and you'll probably see a few that come up on the screen every once in a while. So my first question is how did you get your start in the community? I mean, you talked about it just a little bit briefly, if you can give a little bit more detail.
So when I was walking back to my house.
And oh no.
No. Oh, shoot.
Bruce, are you here?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Woo, that was a little scary. So a buddy of mine named Curtis Paul. Curtis Paul offered to buy my cars for $200. And I said, no. And then I immediately figured out these things are worth money. And something clicked in my head that I started collecting and running ads in newspapers. And I hear some noise in the background. I don't know what that is.
Brent.
Probably me fidgeting with cars in front of me.
So I ended up starting collecting full time. Within 2 months of that day of getting the box back from my mom, I was running ads in the newspaper saying, I buy old Hot Wheels, and getting on every website I could find. The early days, Red Lines Online or whatever the names were, all these scary wheels and names from the past, learning as much as I can, because to me, learning was the most important thing. And 6 months later, I saw an ad for the rarest Hot Wheel in the world for sale. And I said, screw it. I'm just going to go for it. I'm in the hobby. I'm into it. And I did something with a little bit of balls in those days. I bought it. I've never regretted it. And but there's some follow-up stories to that will tell you how that experience got me into where I am today.
Awesome. Okay, so the next question I have is, what was it like to meet Ruth and Elliot Handler?
Well, let's see here. Can you all see Elliot and Ruth Handler there?
Very nice.
Okay. This is one of the happiest days of my life as a collector. I ended up, the secret to my sauce was I recognized that former employees probably had great cars in their garages. And if I could locate former employees, then I would be incredibly lucky. And every night I would go downstairs and research, and I ended up meeting the president of Mattel alumni. We became friends, and he called me up and he said, I'm having a Mattel alumni party for people who worked on Hot Wheels. Do you have any interest in coming? I said, are you kidding me? So I flew out 21 years ago, and I go to his house and I meet Derek Gable, the guy who invented Scorchers, and other items and Hot Wheels. I meet Dennis Bosley, who ran Hot Wheels in 1969. I'm going person to person, grabbing cards. I told him I'll follow up. And then in comes this elderly couple, and everybody starts clapping. And it's Ruth and Elliot Handler. And I just couldn't believe it. I ended up meeting him that night. And I ended up meeting Elliot 4 or 5 more times, including going to his house. And it was just amazing experience for me. I just feel blessed.
That's awesome. I mean, that picture you showed, I've seen it a couple of times, either through videos or other pictures. It's just a really, really cool picture. It had to have been a special moment.
And I was so lucky. I had 2 business cards to have them sign the back of my business cards to get their autographs from that night,
Nice. So Manny's
cool.
like, wait a minute. This guy's amazing.
I've been showing pictures from your book for the last 4 days. So
okay.
All right. First serious question. What is your definition of a prototype?
So that is a great question. To me, I use a broader definition than some purists who want to make it the smallest definition possible. To me, it is an item that was part of the Mattel process in developing a car that eventually was released to the public. But it would not have been a car eligible to be on the production line to be packaged to sold. So, for example, if it was an FEP, final engineering product, where they made 144 of them, 12 by 12 rack, and all the employees tested them and took them around. And many times those are the cars that as being different. Like the white interior Red Baron was an FEP. The brown Woody was an FEP. They just made it with whatever they had that day at the factory. It wasn't a production color ready to go to be sold. So anything along those lines, I call in the prototype family.
Okay. Got it. It's a good definition. I like that. Okay. If you could bring back one casting back to production, what would it be? So
that's a great question. I love the Python or the cheetah, and I've always dreamed of, and I haven't done it yet, building a Python or a Silhouette as a car to drive. I just thought they were just cool with modern, have a Mustang base and just make the car on top of it. And to me, I would drive it to work. I'm crazy enough, but both of those cars intrigue me. And I would say that's probably the Python, which just seems like a fun car to drive at the beach.
Crazy enough to drive it on 395 North?
Yeah, you know my neighborhood, yeah.
That's no. I hated driving on that thing. That's why I always took the Metro.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Next question. Who has been the biggest influence to you in the community or hobby? Who's been the biggest influence for you?
So Larry Wood, I developed a good friendship with him, and he's been phenomenal. But the most important was a guy named Derek Gable. Derek is an amazing inventor, and he ran the inventing shop of Mattel. He is the one person that introduced me to probably 30 or 40 other employees. He's the Mattel alumni president. Even today, I had an email exchange back and forth with him, unrelated to Hot Wheels. We developed a great friendship, and he really gave me a sense of what it was like to work at Mattel in the late 60s and early 70s, which was a really special place to work.
I bet.
Awesome. Obviously Barbie kind of kept things rolling, so to speak. How did the handlers use that to keep Hot Wheels from disappearing in the mid 70s?
So as a company, when I interviewed so many employees, Mattel as a company was a financial yin yang. They had good days and they had bad days. They had years of great sales, and then a product would just collapse. They had a gigantic inventory of guns. And then during Vietnam, at that era, people said, "Why are you buying guns?" And that destroyed the guns. And Hot Wheels came along at a great time. And Hot Wheels were just an explosive success for Mattel. So I don't think it was necessarily just Barbie covering it, because they always had a selection of many other dolls and toys as a company. But there were many Fridays where employees told me they were scared to show up because their boss had to grab 3 random people to let them go to cut the payroll. It was a very
Lord. That would be terrifying.
Yeah.
Especially because tomorrow's Friday. So
right, yeah, don't go to work tomorrow.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's see here. So the next question is, how do you think the mass production of Hot Wheels, does it either help or does it hurt the hobby, so to speak?
So the question is, how do I think the mass production? I consider myself an expert between 1968 and 1977. And only recently am I trying to learn about the modern. And I recently bought a collection of 6,000 cars when I was in California. And I was shocked. They had cop rods, fire engine cars, this series, that series. I think when Mattel makes so many different series, I think they hurt themselves because there's only a certain number of collectors out there that are completists. And so I kind of like it when Mattel basically has 3 lines, the basic line, an upgrade, the RLC. I think they're doing a really great job of what they're doing right now. Making too many models, it just, I just think it exasperates the collectors. It's kind of what they did to baseball cards in the 80s and 90s, where you can buy 10,000 baseball cards for, $10 these days. I hope they don't do that again to Hot Wheels.
Yeah. That's a very, very good point. All right. Of course, we'll take any questions from anyone. You got any cool things to show us tonight, Bruce?
Sure. If you don't mind, I thought I would just go over some of the items that you may not typically see that goes into the production of making a Hot Wheel. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It makes perfect sense.
But before I start, there's one car that everybody asked me, what is your favorite car if it wasn't the pink Beach Bomb? And the answer is overchrome cars. Have you guys ever been to McDonald's and on the wall there's a picture of the most perfect hamburger you've ever seen? The mustard's perfect, the tomato's perfect, the pickles and the onions and everything. And then you order the McDonald's and you open it up in the paper. It doesn't look anything like that picture, right?
No.
Okay. So marketing people for years realized if you're going to do marketing, you got to make something special. So in 1968, when the first cars were being made in Hong Kong, The order to the plant was make some of them look like Christmas ornaments. I don't care what it takes. So they barrel plated the top, and this is critical. They barrel plated the bottom, and they made these cars. And they're a mystery. When I bought it from the first employee, he remembered telling me, he goes, well, I remember they said, make the first ones look like Christmas ornaments. And then they realized it took too long. So we just mass produced them and painted over the regular metal. So we knew they were special. We found a couple of them with executives. And then a guy died, put them on eBay. What was his job? In charge of TV commercials. And then we realized these were probably made to sparkle when they come down. So I have one example of one. I have about 6 of these all together, and I hope the true color comes out in a second. This right here is the custom T-Bird, and I'm going to try to hold it up right there.
There you go.
Can you all see it? Let's go right there.
Right. Stop. Yep. Right there. You're perfect.
Now, I don't know if you can tell, but this is so shiny. Can you see the mirror like on it?
Oh, yeah.
It's like a Johnny Lightning mirror. Now look at the bottom. Is that a mirror like also?
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. These cars are just as close as you can get to what I call perfection on wheels. I have an antifreeze Camaro. I have a Silhouette. I have this in gold also. And I have 2 gold open hood scoop Mustangs.
Nice.
One with a honey gold and one with a light gold, because we think we're testing. There's been a strawberry one found, Mustang, a few of those. Anita has one. And there's been bad condition Diora, Fleetside, etc. So it appears they made probably close to a full set. Not every car. No hot heap has been found and others. But they're stunningly beautiful cars. They're my favorites. In my book, I call the rear loader the king of the hobby. I call these the queen of the hobby. Okay.
Yeah, those are amazing.
So the first thing that happens is somebody makes a sketch. Harry Bradley.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't bring any with me, but Harry Bradley sold me about 9 of his original sketches, as the Camaro and the Cougar. That sketch was taken to Mr. Handler and said, I want to make this car. Here's a little story that most people don't know, and I have a memo that proves it. Harry drew the cars in a very rackish way, and Mr. Handler said, I love it. Makes the cars cool. And then something happened along the way, and they made a decision to make realistic cars. And I have a photo in my collection of the Hong Kong factory where you can see model kits of AMT where they were making the model kits. I have the receipts from Harry Bradley of the model kits he bought, because he kept everything in his files to get paid back Mattel. So the original 16 cars were made from model kits. And the Fleet side was made from a combination of 2 kits and a professional model maker. Now, the reason they did that is you have to make a car at a scale and then use a machine called a pantograph to make it the size of a Hot Wheel. After that first year, they started making model makers. They would give somebody a solid piece of wood. They would take that piece of wood and they would carve it. If you turn this around, can you tell what car this is? This is the hood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get it exactly. You can see
it,
right?
Yep.
It would take 200 to 400 hours by a man to make this wood model. And then the machine would go over every line and scale it down to 1/4. So this is one of the surviving wood mock-ups. On the bottom, it says Industrial Design Affiliates. That was a company Mattel hired because they didn't have enough model makers to make the wood model.
Nice.
Pretty cool. Okay.
Very cool.
So once the wood model was made, can you give me exactly a 15-second break because I switched rooms?
Yeah, go ahead. And while we're waiting, this is one of the model kits that Bruce was talking about.
And then you got the pantograph on the other side too, don't you?
Yeah.
That there is the machine that is used to reduce Hot Wheels in size.
That's it. Okay, now, and by the way, I have that wood model shown in that picture. Okay. Can you all see this right now?
Go a little higher.
A little higher.
And to your right, I believe.
Yep.
A little more. Perfect.
There we go.
Okay, that is Industrial Design Affiliates by hand in pencil. the instructions of how the evil weevil will be made.
Wow.
So industrial design affiliates would then take these wood molds that either Mattel made or they would make, and they would then break the car down to all the parts, the chassis, the sides, the insides, and those would be used then to make the actual car. So now you have the sketch, now you have the mock-up model, the wood or resin model, and now you have the actual paperwork. And then they would have to make a car in the early days out of brass. So I grabbed this car. Looks like a beat up hood to you, right?
Yep.
Look at the bottom.
Ooh, smooth.
Okay. That is smooth. This car weighs just a little heavier than it would. This is made out of brass, handmade. Is that cool?
Very nice.
Now, Bob Rosas had a ton of these he found over the years, and others have been discovered. I got that from another employee. So brass cars are another rare part of the process.
Yes.
And then the last piece is once they made the wood, sometimes they had to make resins. So here's an example of a resin shell. And this is, can anybody identify what car this is?
That's
Lincoln Continental.
Nope. Look
Custom
again.
Cadillac.
Nope. See the fins and the flaring. Anybody want to guess that's watching out in the Wonderland?
Oh, I see. I thought it was the Cadillac at first.
I thought it was the Lincoln.
It's called the Magnum Scorcher.
Okay, I've never heard of that car.
Yeah,
I
so
have.
this is a
I have.
Scorcher, and it's a thick shell. I mean, it weighs a lot. So that is an example of some of the cars. And now there's only one more.
Derek said Monty.
Nope, Derek.
Then they will do this. What does this look like to everybody, to you? Oops.
Oh, there we go.
Boss Mustang.
Boss Mustang, right?
Yeah.
Now
But that's there you go.
looks like a
that
resin,
is-
right?
Yeah.
Guess what?
That's
This is
another resin.
a hand-painted resin.
Wow.
So this has probably got to be one of my rarest cars. If you look really hard, you can see like the windows are painted.
Yep.
Painted, hand-painted yellow. Can you see the tone, how it's hand-painted?
Yep.
So this has got to be one of my favorite cars in the collection to find this. But then you find the hand-painted resins. So now that's another example of something that you can see in the Hot Wheel world as part of the process. And then, of course, sometimes they would also, the last stage, there are a few more stages, they would actually make a car in, this is a Porsche, and it's unassembled and it's unpainted. So then they would make the cars and put them together to test it before. So I consider all these prototypes, going back to my definition, because nothing I showed you, you could have bought at the store. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Total. Yep. It follows what you were saying. Okay. Next question had to do with your little starring role on Pawn Stars here.
Yep.
If he had made you an offer that was close, would you have taken it? And
No.
if you, okay, would you have regretted taking it?
I would have died. You know what I mean? Yeah, I kind of knew. I signed some documents, so I can't say the whole story, but let me just say this. They call, as probably everybody knows, they call you.
Mm-hmm.
People don't just walk down Vegas, happen to have a pink beach bomb in their pocket. You know what I mean? So they called me and they said, "You want to be on Pawn Stars?" I said, "No, thanks. You got it." I hung up the phone. A year later, they called me and they said, "Look, we want to, we'd love to have you on the show." I said, "Look, the car's not for sale." And in so many words, they said, "Look, they're a pawn shop. They're only going to offer you half the value or whatever. Just name your price." So I kind of knew they weren't going to buy it. But again, if he had shocked me and said, I'll give you the 140, because that was my offer at the time, I would have regretted it big time. I mean, I wouldn't sell it for $500,000 today. It's just such a part of my life now. And when you see the value of other collectors, Nintendo never used, set selling for 300,000, comics selling for 3.4 million. This, in my opinion, will one day be $1 million car. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I can see that.
Yeah.
So I actually have a slight spinning off question from that Pawn Stars question. You also did the toys that made America.
Yeah.
How is it working with the History Channel on this hobby? Because I know Ken hates that word.
The passion. Well, I got to tell you, I was very impressed with the History Channel. The larger the studio, the more money and the more professional. They call you up. Of course, I get tested for COVID, and they go to professional sound stages. They prepare everything. And I was there for 6 hours being interviewed. Like typical, 6 hours of film was reduced to 2 minutes and 10 seconds. I have nothing but respect for the editors. They just came out with a video called 60-second documentary. You can Google Bruce Pascal 60-second documentary. They interviewed me for 3 hours and they reduced it to a 60-second video. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. Amazing.
That's cool.
Wow. This is, we're having a good time, folks. And if you got questions, please get them in there. We'll let Bruce answer as many questions as he wants and keep showing us really cool stuff. But on to the next one.
Okay.
What would be a reason why a casting would not make it into production?
So according to the people I interviewed, the number one reason was the idea when it was designed in paper and made the mock-up is the engineers say it just couldn't work in terms of production and diecast. Maybe the angles were too sharp. Maybe they thought a part would break or something was too sharp at an angle. So they had a lot of cars designed that never made it past like the design stage. I have several cars that are actually prototypes of cars that never made it to production. One of them is a car called the Ford Cyclone. I didn't bring it with me tonight. It's in the safe, but it looks just like the Olds 442. So my theory is the Olds 442 came out with a wing and then they saw this with the wing and they said they're too similar, so they decided not to do it. They made a car called the Piston Boat and it had parts and it was like a boat on a rack of a car, but it had so many parts put together. I think Mr. Handler just said, forget it. Harry Bradley first designed for the first 16 cars. One of them was going to be the Avante. Do you remember that car?
Mm-hmm.
And guess who vetoed it? Mr. Handler, because he drove an Avante. So Mr. Bradley thought it'd be nice to do it. He goes, everybody asks me what kind of car this is all the time. I don't want to do a car that people have to ask me what kind of car it is. There's another reason why they didn't make that Hot Wheel.
Nice.
But that did eventually make it into the line at some point. And I think it became it's the Studebaker Avante, right?
Yeah, exactly. Raymond Lowry design.
Yeah, it made it in.
It became a super treasure hunt, actually.
Yeah, regular treasure hunt.
We talked about how mass production has helped and hurt, so we'll skip that one. Do you think any of the old cars that didn't make it into production would have a chance today, given the technological advancements we've come up with?
So I don't think I'm spilling any secrets. I'll just share one of my desires that I have expressed to the connections I have at Mattel. And that is, I think collectors would love to see Mattel reissue some of the historical cars that were never made in the olden days, such as the Ford Cyclone, such as the Torino, and a couple other cars that were earlier manifestations of different models. I actually think it would be kind of cool, whether it's the RLC Club or something to do. And I have expressed that a couple of times to some top brass. The problem is to get a car made is difficult. Okay, yeah, that's the black Mercedes with the steering wheel.
Yes. I can dream.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Brian Klein. Well, first of all, Greg Sully says thank you for the magenta waste wagon that you sent. He says it's beautiful.
Thank you. Tell him I sold it to him too cheap.
And then Mr. Brian Klein has a question here, and he wants to know how much input or inspiration from collectors has Mattel used to put back into cars that have been produced?
Okay, so that's a really, really good question. I've had a lot of time spent with designers and talked to them. From the regular lines, there was a period of time where I would say the collector input was probably beyond less than 1%. And it's only after the advent did Mattel discover that, in theory, adults are buying these cars. And even today, this year, the president of Mattel showed up to the convention, and he was shocked to find adult collectors bought the dollar cars. He was shocked. He told me that. He thought that was the RLC line and going through there. So I think there is the current designers, Brendan, Vatuski, Brian, there's some great guys in there right now. They're really bringing the collector inspiration because they talk to us. They come to our conventions. So I think we have a seat at the table without knowing it today.
That's one of the things I like because, I've had a couple interactions with Brendan. Very, very personable, very, very willing to be open to ideas and listen. I know, there's a big push in this area for the stage fright to come back. And that is, I would love to see that. I know Klein would like to see that, and a couple other folks would too.
I'd like to see it in Spectre Flame. I think that would be so cool.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there is no disagreement there.
Maybe Spectre Flame Black, right? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shiny, stage perfect.
Awesome. All right. So how have you come to find some of these prototype pieces in your collection? Is it all just been through ex-employees?
So the majority I have about 230 or so, and it changes, original Redline prototypes. The vast majority of them came from former employees, and I would help them buy their collection, and then they would then call their friends sometimes and say, that junk you had in the garage, this guy gave me $10,000, and one thing led to another and led to another. I do buy at conventions, when Larry Wood's collection came up or others. I made a bid for the collection. I was woefully low. I underestimated the value tremendously. And I'll buy what I like.
Yeah, I've actually got 4 Larrys behind me. So
yeah, exactly.
I got a paint sample. That's the best I can do. How do you document and organize your collection so that you know exactly what you have?
It's a great question. So I just finished this month, and I do hope to open it up to collectors very soon, a catalog using a spreadsheet. So for me, it is, what is the item? Where is it located in my warehouse or is it my house? What wall it's at, what safe it's at, where it's at. What is the description? What is the provenance? Where did I get it from? What did I pay for it? What do I think it's worth today? I actually have a button that I'm starting to, I can make a recording so that if somebody comes to my collection one day and pushes 151, I'll explain to them what they see. That's my dream, to do that eventually. So right now, I just finished cataloging the collection, and I have 1,200 entries. Now, guess what? 5,000 items plus. So one entry may say 1,300 red lines at my house. Okay. I haven't cataloged the 1,300 red lines. I have like 25 special ones, maybe I catalog. The rest are just there. It may say 2,400 black walls in my house. It may say, 150 Oto Kuni sketches. So I still have a lot of subcategorizing to do. But when you come to each item, you'll see, for example, let's see if you can see it. You see the number 156?
Okay. Yep.
So if you look up on my list 156, it will say, I don't think, is this the Sideburn? Does anybody know the name of this particular one?
I have no clue.
That looks like does the back end open up at all?
I don't think so, but I forgot.
Is it a chaparral?
No. This is a Sizzler.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Greg.
it's an item I wanted to show you. Look how it's see-through.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool.
Okay, and the reason
Very
is,
Wonder Woman.
the reason is it had a motor inside and it had parts. An engineer could see inside clear plastic. So Mattel would always make prototype items like this in see-through plastic. And right below me, I don't know if I can do this without screwing everything up. Can you see the clear case?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the original case. That's the prototype.
Oh, wow.
Holding case made in plastic. Clean plastic.
Okay, that's cool.
My ultimate prototypes.
Okay, so why is it so important to document everything that you've been doing?
So 2 reasons. Number one, there's a potential of fakery. So I want to make sure that people know they got it from Dennis Bosley, Derek Gable, Elliot Handler. I think it's important to tie an item to where it came from. I just think that's extremely important. Number 2, if as much information I can put down now and document and put in that book explains the hobby to future collectors. And if somebody sees as a piece of wood, if nobody documents this or talks about it, they're going to think somebody for fun made a car look like a hood, and not realize the significance of that wood mold. So for me, it's critical. Where did it come from? What's the story? And then the other thing is I have some items I've displayed, like the pink beach bomb. You want to be able to say, I had it at the Peterson Museum for 2 years. I had it at the Indianapolis Children's Museum. And for me, it's good to know. By the way, in artwork, those are the 2 questions for a famous painting. Who had it before you and who's owned it? And where was it shown? What museums? That adds to value. So I have a big investment and I owe it to my family and myself to document it the best way possible.
Okay, awesome. Mr. Brian Klein wants to know, what are the best steps a collector can take to be able to acquire rare prototypes to their collection?
Offer me an insane amount of money and sold.
There we go. There's the answer. Step 1, rob a bank.
Yeah.
So the best way is waiting for those opportunities when collections come up. And unfortunately, it's a feeding frenzy, but you do need to, when Larry Wood's collection came up, those were once in a lifetime opportunities. I saw a car I wanted. This looks, blue Shelby, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at the back. Blank.
Oh, that blank.
Nice.
This is a resin. Okay.
Nice.
So it's a once in a life opportunity to get the resin Shelby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some of these things cost money. I know it's an ouch, but it's once in a while you have to just step up and do it. And once in a while, the charity auctions at Mattel sell some great items. The only problem is when you're in a room, testosterone and bidding, you get the greatest deal,
So speaking of auctions, we have Miss Barb Robles here, and she wants to say on behalf of the convention charity committee, thank you for everything that you've done with the donations and the pencil sketches. And she says thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate it. Thank you. Good luck. Keep up your good work.
All right. So the next comment is from Derek Nice. He says you've talked to him several times on his collection. He just wants to know if we're a deal or no deal.
On what deal? On what car?
I think the whole thing.
I haven't seen the offer in writing yet. Okay.
And let's see who that was from.
This is Greg Sully.
Greg wants to know if you're coming down.
So I bought my ticket. I got my airline, and I may be working on an unusual trip to go to Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Oman, the United Arab Emirates. It's the same time frame. So if that trip to the Middle East goes, I'm going to that trip. It's part of a charity where I get to meet a lot of the world leaders, and it's just an exciting part of my life that I try to be involved in. And that's once in a lifetime. So I'll be really upset, but I'll miss Charlotte. But if that trip doesn't happen because of COVID or international reasons or war breaks out or something, then I will probably go to Charlotte. And if I go to Charlotte, I want to drive and bring a ton of shit if I can.
Cool.
Oopsie. We'll censor that later.
I'm not worried about it.
Derek says he doesn't have the cash right now.
Just give me a bad check, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I can do that.
Yeah.
The next question is how has diecast collecting influenced your life?
So I underestimated what would happen to my life when I bought the pink beach bomb. That owning something that's considered like, the holy grail of the hobby, it comes with a responsibility, but it comes with opportunities. So if I was just a regular collector, I probably wouldn't have been invited as a guest to Mattel to go to the Indy 500 with Larry Wood. Talk about a great weekend. And Larry Wood saying, watch me. We snuck into the Chevrolet party. We took the Chevrolet bus to the race the next day, and we didn't work for Chevrolet. I don't know. Larry's just like, keep calm. It will work, He's a crazy dude. At the end of the race, they had, I think, 40 special blue Camaros that were Hot Wheels emblems, and they were what's called parade cars. And the Mattel arranged that if I wanted to buy one at the wholesale price, I could get it. So I bought one. So it bought a car from me. It got me to the Indy 500. I was invited to the Peterson Museum to meet Richard Petty, and on a great night they had, a night at the Peterson Museum. So it's invited me to all these events that I never would have had before. It made me, most important, meet so many new friends and new people all around the world. Going to the Mexican convention, man, it makes our conventions look like an old age home factory. There's 2,000 people show up over 4 days. It's
wow.
You can't even go to the bathroom without being mobbed. It's amazing. So those conventions are wild. I hope one day America gets conventions like that.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. I would like to experience something like that. That or the Japan one would be cool to do.
Brazil. And that's my eventual goal. Let's just all pray COVID ends. But if COVID ends and I could be insured of safety, I'd love to take the pink beach bomb and travel the world with it at shows. It would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it would be. And that's the great thing. You get to be an ambassador for the entire community, or as you call it, your passion. And you get this opportunity to show things to folks that they otherwise wouldn't be able to see. So I think that's really cool.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's a great passion, and I get as much fun of the people I meet, events like this. It's exciting. I love sharing the history and what I've discovered from other people.
All right, Brent, you got any more questions?
Yeah, I do. Since it's been a few years, are you working on any new books?
So not really. I sold my first 2,000 copies, so I'm pretty happy. That's a lot for a first book. And yeah. I'm on my second run with Amazon, and I made just a few minor changes, a spelling mistake I made, and got it. But that's probably it. You know how much work it takes to make a book? But I mean, even when you're done, to make it fit and paginate on the pages and to get the color pictures right, and the cost, the economics, you don't make any money on this. I think I got like $370 back, and I probably spent thousands to get it done. It's not a money-making thing, but it's a lifetime goal. So I told my wife, I'm so proud that I could say author as one of the things I did. It was life is about making a goal and scratching it off. That was one of them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I appreciate the work that you did put into it. I've probably got close to about 40 different Hot Wheel books that I enjoy looking through them, just the artwork and just learning about cars that were never made, and even the cars that were made in the variation guides that Mike has put out and play sets. And I just like learning more about the hobby that I'm in love with. So
it's
okay.
Amazing.
So we're going to take this question from Derek. He goes, I don't know if you discussed it or not, but what is your favorite casting?
I'm going to shock everybody. I love the custom auto.
There you go.
Otto Cooney became my dear friend. And when he passed, his family called me, and I was lucky enough to buy his estate. I thought it was such a great name for a car, custom auto. I love the diamond encrusted one. I've tried to buy it from Mattel. They won't sell it to me. I've tried on more than one occasion. And I just think it's such a cool car. Think about it. In theory, it's the first Hot Wheel ever designed. Because and the story on that car, so everybody understands it, because Otto Cooney told me, the story on that car is Mattel did not want to pay royalties to Dodge, Ford, or any company. So Otto Cooney kind of made an amalgamation of cars. And it's so funny. He did that in 1967, and he has the same front as what the 69 Charger is. Isn't that amazing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the guy was amazing. That car means a lot to me.
Just showing one for reference, since you didn't have one available, or well, I'm sure you have tons available. But
I got a few, but they're not next to me right now.
Yeah.
And I don't have mine next to me either.
So, we'll break it up for a little bit. You got any more cool prototypes you want to show us?
So I'll do one more proto, and then I'll do a quick lap around to see how I store everything. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Okay. So this one is very hard to see, and it's very subtle. But this is, can you see the gold tonish on it slightly?
Yeah.
Just a little, yeah.
Yeah. It's a gold vacuum. Never made that particular stripe color for this gold chrome. So that's a pretty rare car
Nice.
to see. And flying colors, I've noticed, have been going absolutely crazy these days. And then if I was going to pull one more car out, I'll pull something out that Derek Abel made. So Derek Abel told me, when you worked for the Department of Future Cars, I forgot what he called it, but it was design. They call it like a design lab. What are they going to come up with next? They would only get old cars and wires and bolts, and they have to come up with an idea. So someone wanted to come up with an idea of a flip out. So what did they do? They basically took a brass car and made this base in the front. And what you see here is more than likely, the Lincoln idea of testing, hitting a wall, watching the thing flip over, and the car turning over. So that's a flip out, but that's how they would have made it in those days, bastardizing one car and making a prototype to make the actual car. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. I actually showed that picture earlier this week, I believe. Of course, I can't find it.
So Greg says he loves you and appreciates everything you've done for the Redline pages, and he hopes to get to see you soon in Charlotte. But
I hope so too. That's my dream, trying to get there.
Okay.
I don't collect 2000 and newer unless it's a car that I fall in love with. Does that make sense? That I want to put in my garage. Okay, I'm going to do a very fast tour. I hope you can see. Okay, so I have 3 galleries. The gallery I was just in, let's see here, there's a display of Heist Rider toys. There's a glass case. And on the wall are a lot of paintings that Otto Cooney did. Not only did he do Hot Wheels, he also did Lockheed Martin. And
I didn't know that.
He also did Cox gas cars. See that? Remember the old Pinto? That was the cover car for a Cox gasoline. Pretty amazing. Then in this room, I have a lot of gas station banners. And I know this is a terrible way to look at it because it's just I'm using a laptop turning sideways. But those are original gas station banners. And now these are printer proofs. Now, do you see that poster? It looks like a regular poster, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice there's no Hot Wheels written on it? Why? That's the original artwork used by the artist to make the poster.
Wow.
Okay. And then you see on the bottom a box. Let's see here, a competition pack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's the printer's proof sent to the artist for approval on a single sheet to say, should we make that box those colors?
Wow.
So those are printer's proofs. In this room, I have some original artwork. There is the original Larry Wood for, I think that's a sidekick. Mm-hmm. There's the Ira Guilford. This is one of my favorites. I know it's hard to see because of the reflection, but you notice the short order has 2 engines or 1 engine?
Yep.
Because they asked Mr. Handler, which one do you want to make? Anybody know the original name of the Noodlehead? Noodlehead or Chrome Dome. They were deciding what name they should call it. Okay. And then you go around, got a few more rooms in there, fun stuff. But this is the cool part. This is my warehouse. So I'll turn it around slowly. It's 4,000 square feet.
Whoa.
3-foot ceilings. And all my memorabilia is here. So on this wall, you can see original drawings. There's every Japanese car ever made.
Wow.
Here's an off-market gas station banner. They made a Hot Wheels pinball machine. I have the pinball machine at my house. I found on eBay an extra top, an extra bottom.
Nice.
And over here, I have an original outfit that Kyle Petty wore for a race. I have over here a gas station banner that's not seen too often, carrying case, 229. On this wall, I have the original speed test day posters.
Oh, wow.
Invitations to different events.
Wow.
Okay. And then over here is a collection I just got. Now, here's an example. You can't really read the letter, but I put a letter there. This guy's father worked for the Diecast company that made chop cycles and rumblers. He sold me his collection because I promised him I'd create a display. So there you go. You ever seen that Ghost Rider in magenta before? That's the only one known like that.
Just on your Instagram.
All these are prototypes in different series. Then over here is my favorite display case. Again, it's going to be very difficult. Do you see the Snake and Mongoose artwork?
Yep.
Mhm.
That's the artwork used for the actual blister card. Okay.
Nice.
This in that case right there, do you see that sort of silvery looking car? That was a car called the HW50 for the Hot Wheels 50th anniversary.
Yep.
Mattel gave that to me, and it has my name on the bottom, so that's pretty special.
Nice.
This is an award Elliot Handler got when he was 40 years a Hot Wheels in 2008. And that was an award given to him. And when he passed away, a long story, but I ended up getting it. I have some blister packs and regular Hot Wheels, I'm sure. This one's rare because it's the only letter getter known, maybe one or two with red lines. This is the original 1968 display. Here's a really cool wood piece, the wood Porsche. Here's the wood for the bifocal. There's the Corvette. That Corvette was given to Elliot Handler when he turned 90 years old.
Oh, my.
Okay. And then lots more items like that. This item up here is pretty cool. It's the original display from 1968. Everybody's seen those books before? Those were the books glued to this display. And most displays were lost. Here's a couple more pieces. If I'm boring you, I'll shut up.
No, you're doing just fine.
You're doing amazing.
That's the British display. This is pretty cool. Roger Moore in 1971. I think they made 200 of these, and very few complete sets are left. This is a store display of Super Chrome cars.
Oh, wow.
In here is where I keep, you really can't see it, a stack of all the original blueprints.
Wow.
I did buy a couple collections of Blackwall prototypes. So these are resin grid cars, and every one of these is slightly different. There's a
Any
Porsche
MR2s?
car. You can see a Bugatti resin in there. I know that's
Lord.
These are hand-painted resins on the bottom.
Oh, my.
Wow.
This over here is the if you were in New York and walked into Toys R Us, this was the Hot Wheel display. Mattel traded it for me because I wanted to get that. I just created these shelves, and these shelves show a lot of different accessories and items. Then over here, I have sort of a seating area. And here is the Larry Wood. Let's see if here. Larry Wood guitar, Fender guitar he sold me. And then I got miscellaneous stuff. Do you see those plastic cases next to the 3 cases in a row next to the map drawer?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're entirely filled. Each one of those contains 30 or 40 files of different Hot Wheels. All the paperwork that's used to create and make a Hot Wheel. And then last but not least, I just have a collection of paper memorabilia that those are all Hot Wheel comics, different items, Bolitos, and catalogs. And yes, I have the disease. What can I say? So that's the world's fastest tour of my collection.
Man, that's insane.
Do you remember your first Hot Wheel?
Yeah, it was a moving van.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm not going to say it's my favorite or anything as a kid, but it's the only Hot Wheel I kept that I can honestly say, or at least think it's mine, from his childhood.
Okay, so how do you protect your prototypes and your other cars from dust and sun and
Great question. I'm going to actually put one of these back in and just show you. I have these amazing trays that I bought on Amazon.com, and they're similar to carny cases, but they're very heavy. And what I do is I put each car in an acid-free paper, put it in here so it won't move around, and then I put them in a dark safe. And the safe is fireproof and hopefully burglar-proof. And it's a gun safe, basically. And nice. That's where I keep like the prototypes and items so they won't go. And I guess there may be one other car you may be interested in.
Yeah, maybe.
It's called the Pink Rear Load Beach Bomb.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't normally take it out, but I will slowly take it out and give everybody a look.
Right. Yeah, just right there.
Perfect.
Oh my God. Oh, there we go.
Now I'll tell you one little fun thing. This one has, look really closely at this. This rear loader is different than all the others because it's a prototype rear loader. It has the rear loader top and the side loader base.
Oh, now, I see that. Yeah.
If you look at the bottom, do you notice, can you barely tell that it looks like there's a flaw in the metal, almost like a thumbprint on the bottom part?
Yep.
Okay. They made a series of cars called transition rear loaders. Has anybody seen those where they have clear glass and it's a side loader, excuse me, but it has clear glass? There's been a bunch of them found. Every single one of them has the same fingerprint on the bottom.
Really?
So it just proves that this, all they had at the time is when the first bases were made, all they had left was an old top. Then they put my top on. So that's why there are 40 or 50 rear loaders out there, but there's only actually a couple that are transitions between. So to me, it's a prototype of a prototype. That's kind of one of the reasons I always love this car.
Now, why? Can you explain why they went from rear load to side load?
Oh, that's a great, simple story. A guy named Alan Nash. Every car has to be tested on Hot Wheels accessories, and this car kept falling down. It kept falling down as it turned around the sides. Alan Nash did a slow motion video to discover, and they were thinking, why is this car turning over? And they discovered that, like a real VW, it was so tall and skinny. So by taking the small sunroof and taking that metal off the top and putting it on the side, it changed the center of gravity, and it made it wider, easier to use for going through the supercharger set, and less likely to turn over. So it was a car that, it goes back to your earlier question, why were some cars not made? If it didn't pass the test, if it couldn't make the loop-to-loop without falling down and couldn't make the curve set without falling off, Mattel would get ruined if they sold cars that wouldn't work. So that's the reason the rear loader is so rare today. It was a car that was poorly designed.
Well, there we go. Happy little mistakes, as Mr. Ross would say. Well, that's the end of my questions. Brent, you got anything else left?
No, my two have been answered throughout the day. So,
anybody else got anything left? Because we've got about a minute and a half to go. Otherwise,
special shout out to Brian Barron. He's just an amazing guy. He must be a great club member for you guys. But I looked at some notes the other day of like records of 15, 20 years ago, and I'm like selling stuff to Brian Barron back then. And I still deal with him right now. But he's a pure collector. And I like people that are in it for the long run, have a passion. And I look forward to seeing all you guys at the conventions.
Yeah,
oh, yes. We thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule and being away from your family to come hang out with us for
my wife's in California. I'm by myself tonight, so it's good. And by the way, if anybody's ever in the Washington, D.C. area, I open up my museum only when I'm here and free. So if you happen to be here Sunday at 4:00, I could show it to you. And I have a lot of people like to come by and look for plans or see what I have in a certain casting. As you can see, I enjoy talking about Hot Wheels, so doors always open.
Very
awesome.
Cool.
We appreciate that. Well, normally this would be the part in the show where we rip a car open, but we kind of decided not to do that tonight. So, I mean, really, unless there's any other questions, that's it.
Well, thank you guys. Really had a good
Thank you.
time, and see the community out in the streets, and good luck in the hunt,
All right.
as they said. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
guys.
Bruce. Appreciate it.
Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, that was Bruce. That
That
was
was
awesome.
amazing.
I
That
am,
was- Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't even know where to go from here.
No.
I might send him a message later and ask him a couple of questions, but other than that,
Friend request might come in.
yeah. Thank you again to Brian Barron for helping us
Yes.
facilitate that interview that we just had. We couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah. That train left.
Yeah, no,
But yeah.
that's gone.
Brian, thank you again so much for putting this together and working with us. And this all came together in a matter of a couple of weeks. So this is what we want to bring to you guys every single day, every single time with the show. So, we appreciate you. We want to do things, new, awesome things for y'all. But that's all I got.
That's all
Bye.
I got, folks.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.